Hello everyone, how you doing? And welcome back to Skye and Evan in the morning. And today we're gonna be talking about Invisible Life, a Brazilian movie based on a Brazilian novel that I have read. Evan, what did you think of Invisible Life?
Uh, I loved it. It's a simple movie. I was mentioning this before we got started, but like it's one of those just simple stories. A lot of movies based on books are like that. They don't like feel like they're going for like a cinematic experience, they're just
Mm-hmm.
telling a story about characters, and it's just really well made, really well shot. And honestly, I don't know about you, but some of the cinematography in this movie reminded me of Utopia. Like the way they use
Hmm.
color, like I love the lighting in certain shots where they just use like a distinct blue or red and or green, and it doesn't. It's one of those like it doesn't look realistic, but I'm like it looks great though, and
It does look unique. A
it
lot of the
miss
time I was thinking like, huh, interesting that it looks like this. Like throughout a lot of the movie. Um
yeah.
it's weird. I
It's
mean I love it. And you mentioned as well, it looks so grainy, but I think it just adds to like the charm of the movie. It kind of feels
absolutely.
like such a like underground like indie movie, and it's not really that because it was like one of the bigger Brazilian movies, especially of that year. I mean, it won
Yeah,
like
and it was from
awards at Cannes,
2019.
so yeah.
So well, I laugh at that because it is a 2019 movie, but like the fact that it's so great. So few films, like, have that, like, an authentic just film grain to them. Everyone likes to look clean. Everyone's talking about that, like, movies looking too clean and
Yeah.
sanitized, but not
Well,
this movie.
that's
This
funny.
movie looks
There was a discussion about that when this week on Twitter where JXE, who people may know, she was talking about like how Doctor Who, the new episode, there's a scene that was shot in like a
yeah.
forest and how that looked too clean. And I was like, yeah, it kind of feels overproduced, and it's the kind of thing where like productions nowadays just kind of feel like they need to everything to look pristine
Well
instead of just having it look like a little raw. That adds to the, you know, to the vibe of it.
well, there's so many videos on YouTube that talk about this that are, like, explaining because it's exact like I said, those thumbnails that are, like, clean versus, like, authentic, and it what I think it is like high dynamic range, and it's like,
Mm.
movies pushing for like 4K and looking like it. I feel like movies are looking more like iPhone videos where it's like it's sanitized and it looks so pristine and clean and perfect. But I'm like, the imperfections are what make film look good. It's one of the like that's what I always laugh at with 24 frames per second. Is it's like people keep trying to like get away from that and go like 40 frames per second. And every time they do, people reject it. And it's like, why is that? It's like, it's because it is the film look.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it works. It's like, you don't question that because it's just like, that's just kind of how films are 24 frames per second. It's always been that way. And who knows what'll happen with like TV because TV is like kind of more embracing that clean edge to decent effect, I think, better than film. But there's something to be said about a movie that's just shot as authentically as this and embraces the grain and embraces the unrealistic lighting.
Yeah. What did you think of the story, Evan? I'm curious.
I liked it quite a bit. Good tale of like sisterhood and
Mm-hmm.
about like, how patriarchy affects women's like ambitions and their like it changes your life. Like children change like people's lives,
Mm-hmm.
especially like mothers, but I'm curious about you with the book because like
Yeah.
this is the first time I think we've done that where like one of us has read the book. I want to do that more. I want to like read a book before like I've watched the adaptation. I've been trying to do that regularly. That's why I got into the Slough House books. But what's the book like in comparison to the movie? Like, what's the
Well,
story?
that's what I was mentioning to you when I finished watching it yesterday. It's really interesting. The book is not the same story at all. I mean, the characters are all called the same things, but in the book, I mean, for one, the sisters do end up actually reconnecting
Oh,
later on
they
in
like
life.
I was wondering that towards the end, and I kind of like had that realization. I think at the grave, I was like, they're probably not going to meet again. I was like, oh man.
Which was fucking
So they
sad, but it was a perfect way to end the movie. And then like having
the
Gita
letters
read
like
her letter, being like, oh,
Yeah.
I know I disappointed you, but we still have a lifetime together. And Eurydice just looking at the empty chair next to her. Oh boy, I cried so much.
Well, and that was so sad too that the letters get more vitriolic as the film progresses, and I was like, oh man, like why couldn't they just
Yeah.
why couldn't things have just been different? It's like, oh man.
Yeah. The idea for the movie kind of is for the book is that it's the same of the movie in terms of like there's these two women, Guido and Eurydice, who like they are living these like invisible lives of just like being forced to live in this like patriarchy. Eurydice, the story is fairly similar with her, though the movie very much just leans into her playing piano. In the book, she has like
I,
tens of different interests throughout her life.
well, I was about to say I was wondering about the piano and how I think they used it pretty well. Like
Oh
for
yeah,
and
I
I
thought it
love the
worked really
piano
well.
song for the outro, but I was wondering if that might have been highlighted a little more in the book as compared to the movie. It's a little hard to adapt that kind of a thing.
Yeah, in the book, she has like a lot of different interests throughout her life. The point of her is that she's
Mm.
like she has all these ambitions and these like ideas of what she wants to do in life. um at a certain point she starts writing. Did they even reference it in the movie? Which was definitely a nod to the book, which she writes like a book, a recipe book, full of recipes that she was writing because she came up with new recipes and everything and all the time, and she was making these amazing meals for her husband, who never really appreciated them. And that was kind of one thing that kept very closely from the book,
Yeah,
is how
her
Antenor is
husband.
just like the worst and so like it's just like a, he's not even like a bad guy. He's just like boring and plain and like
Well, he's a
keeps her
textbook
down.
example of someone that like has a very traditional view of
Yeah.
gender roles and just like wants like his wife to raise the kids and be in the house. He even like makes a mockery of like him being a stay-at-home dad,
Yeah.
like, and like I would never what do you want me to wear, like a hood? It's like it's he just wouldn't like accept her
Yeah.
like being different and having her own ambitions, and
Yeah.
it's
Though he seems like a little more vitriolic in the movie. In the book, he's just like a passive guy who's like living life, working his
mhm.
job, and he's worried that his wife being ambitious like this would lead her to like disrupt their life. And he keep everyone in the book keeps saying that like Eurydice is like sick because she keeps wanting to do these different things. There's a point in the book where she starts like knitting and sewing, and she starts like she makes clothes for her children and everything like that. And then she stops doing that. Like every time she starts doing something that she enjoys, like the circumstances make her stop. Like maybe she's like spending too much money on it, and her husband doesn't want her to, even though they have the money. It's just like keeping her down, not letting her do any of these things. And by the end, she starts reading. She after like she spends like all the time just sitting on the same chair, looking at the same like bookshelf they have at home. And then there's a really good line in the book where she says like she finally started to see the bookshelf, see the individual books, and she started reading all of them, and she got super invested in that, and then she started writing. And the idea for the book is that she wrote like about her life, about her sister's life, and it was called like it was like a manuscript called like lessons of like stories of invisibility or something like that, where her grandchildren found that after she died, and then one of her grandchildren, the author of the book, wrote the book like about that. So it's inspired by true stories, even if not like exactly like 100% like true story. So there's that interesting aspect of like Eurydice kind of wrote the story herself. In the movie, it's very they don't add all of the interest she has, which I kind of get from a movie perspective and like focusing on just her um her
Piano,
piano.
like, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it works really well. I mean, the moment where she says like the her the granddaughter, her sister's granddaughter says like, "Oh,
Uh,
were you a pianist?" And she's like, "I was." Like, oh,
yeah, and she said, she was the greatest. My sister was the greatest pianist of all time. It's
yeah,
like, oh man, that's so
that
cool.
it made me cry so much. So like, it's interesting because the book is not exactly like a story of sisterhood. It's a story about two sisters living different lives and still and being kind of rejected by not following societal standards. Um, and being like having to conform, I guess, to like the patriarchy and what it keeps, how it keeps women down. And so like they in the book, like, and they do have some of that in the movie. But like when
I
she,
was about to. I haven't read the book, but I'm like, I think the movie did a pretty decent job of
yeah.
like conveying that same idea.
Yeah, it's
It's
what
like,
I mentioned to you yesterday because I genuinely don't know which version I prefer, the book or the movie. Because they're both telling the same idea of the story, like the same theme, really well. It's just told differently because of like the mediums. In a movie, you have like 2 hours to tell this story, so you're not gonna focus on the minutia that the book does. Like the book has like flashback episodes to the childhoods of like Eurydice's neighbors, for example. Like Zelia, who's always like uh being super nosy about her life and giving opinions and everything. Like she gets a chapter where they talk about her childhood and why she's like annoying and always like grumpy all the time. So like that's not the kind of thing that would be in the movie, and I kind of get it. Like we don't see them as children. The youngest we see them is already to being 18, whereas in the book we get quite a
yeah.
lot of stuff from their childhood as well.
Hmm. It is the interesting thing about like any adaptation is like you almost always have to subtract material. Like one of the few adaptations that I think I've seen, which is basically the book one for one, is No Country for Old Men. They cut out a couple of things, but seriously, like when you read that book, it basically just is the movie.
Hmm.
But a lot of book to show or to movie adaptations, like it's something gets lost in translation. It's just a matter of if you like can still tell the same story and
Yeah.
convey the same ideas. So yeah. Huh.
Yeah, it's interesting. I kind of like the book. I mean, the book has a very unique, like sarcastic, like darkly comedic tone to it that is making fun of everyone around the two characters and the characters themselves and how like their own like doubts about themselves, which I think is really well done.
Uh,
That isn't present really in the movie, but
no, the movie plays things way
yeah.
straighter, like way, more seriously.
Yeah, the book is very sarcastic in a way that I really love. I mean, it's a funny book as much as you wouldn't expect it watching the movie. It is a fairly funny book. It's it's interesting. I don't know. I think because they change a few things as well from Gida's story. Like in the book, she doesn't marry a Greek person. She marries like a well, the guy says he's like the son of like the mayor or something. But then that turns out to be a lie, and he's just like working to learn to be a lawyer, and then he provides for her for a while, and he gets her pregnant, and then one day he walks out on her, so she has to raise her kid on her own, which is in the movie,
Uh,
and living
mm.
with Philomena, who I don't think they even mentioned. Do you know what she does? Like, did they mention that in the movie? Philomena, the
I
girl who
don't.
lives with Gida?
I don't think so. Not really.
Right. She
It,
was an
it
ex
was the other way.
prostitute in the book.
Well, that was what I figured. It's what they like were implying. I don't. It's what like kind of they don't say it out loud, kind of a things.
Yeah.
But I think there's like one reference to it. But yeah.
Yeah, she was like a retired prostitute, and so like everyone judged her and everything, but she was great with kids, and everyone in the neighborhood got her to
Yeah.
take care of their kids. And Gida started doing that with her so that she could make some money, so they could continue living. So yeah.
Well, that was actually something that I loved just as a general theme of this movie. I love that like they depict kind of like the initial horror of like having a baby and like
Hmm.
what that does, like how it kind of throws a grenade in your life and your plans. But
Yeah, I mean, especially
there's
Oditsi, the way
also
it happened to her was like,
yeah, but there's also like because she goes back, she can't like just leave her kid, and then also the way they depict kids after the fact, like that character we were just talking about, God forbid I don't remember her name, but
Phila.
she has kids around her, and then
Yeah.
in the ending, like there's it's they like you turn around on kids and you can't help it, and I love that they depict it that way, that like
Well, it's
mothers
like it's
can't
not the
help but love
kid's fault,
children.
and you're going to love your kids. You know, the characters love their kids in the movie. It's just like it's just like
It
you.
changes things, you
Yeah,
know.
and it's like you don't if you don't want kids, having kids will ruin your plans in your life, and like it's not like a bad thing to acknowledge that. The movie makes a point of that. It's just the men in the movie, they're like, oh yeah, you can be a good wife and everything. It's it's interesting. It paints a and the book the book is different. It mentions a lot of like very specific stories about a lot of different people, and how like they ended up making money and losing money, and how all their circumstances were to exist. And the movie's very focused on just the two main characters. Um, I don't know. I find it hard to choose which one I prefer. They're very different, but I kind of love what they did with the two characters, but I genuinely wish the two had met before they got older, because that was like heartbreaking. Because in the book they do meet like after Gida
Well,
is like
when do
after
they meet? Do they meet at the end, or is it like kind of a middle, like before they're older type of a thing?
before
Is
they're
that like,
older. It's kind of in the middle of the book.
ah,
After Phila
that would have
dies,
been cool.
after she takes all the morphine and dies, which by the way was actually the way they depicted in the movie. It's
Yeah,
fairly
that was
similar.
pretty
The
heavy
way she
stuff.
got the morphine was also to have sex with the pharmacist, but in the book she had sex with the pharmacist like countless times so she could get morphine instead of just the one.
Just only way to pay. Yeah.
Yeah, she did not have the money to. But after she dies, she finds out she finds uh Eurydice, and then moves in with her for a little bit, her and her husband, which helps Eurydice. Like she was like pretty depressed for a while, and then that makes her feel better for a little bit. And then Gida starts going out with like a store owner called Antonio, who wasn't really in the movie. And then there's like a whole relationship between Gida and her mother-in-law that's definitely not in the movie. Uh, but like they are part of each other's lives again in the book. So in the movie, they just genuinely never connect again, which is a much more tragic story to have between these two. But I kind of get why they did it. It makes more sense for like the storytelling of a movie. I think it's just kind of
Yeah.
like a thing for like the format. But yeah, they do meet and they spend quite a bit of time together. Gida tells her sister the entire story, though she tells it, not telling
With
the entire truth.
like,
Yeah, it's because there's a lot of
elaborating on certain things, but
yeah,
yeah,
there's a
you
lot
mentioned
of bad things that happened to her, and so she was trying to like because I mean, man, her husband abandoned her, so yeah, it's rough.
wouldn't that kind of change, like, how does that change the ending note of the story? Like, I feel like them meeting again in the book's context when they don't in the movie, like, are they do they kinda, like, end on a different idea and tell, like, convey a different theme? Because I feel
Well, the
the
theme is
movie has,
still
like, one
that
thing to
these
say.
two is like they lived invisible
They're
lives.
invisible. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like that still happens. They kind of like disappeared into like their roles in society instead of you know living the lives they wanted because their plans got derailed, especially Odit. Which the book is mostly like about her feeling of invisibility, and I like that when as she said, she plays a piano, she feels like she disappears in the movie. I think that worked really well with her character from the book as well. Um, that she kind of disappears whenever she's doing all these things. It's like she just hyper focuses on like writing or knitting or everything else she does. Music as well. She actually doesn't play the piano in the book. She plays the flute, I think. She does try
That's
to get
interesting. The instrument's completely
yeah.
different. Wow.
They try to she tried to get into a conservatory as well. But she didn't even like get the chance to do the test. Her parents just didn't want her, just didn't let her. So yeah.
I mentioned this, and I have the movie up right now, and I'm like keep going back to it. That fish tank shot. I don't know if that scene happens in the book, but like,
No.
oh, that was so cool. Like Gita just slowly pan, and you see like her father there, and it's like, oh, it's like, and then she's also there. That was such a cool shot and such a cool scene. The way they staged that, I love those moments. There's like certain moments in movies where you're like, that's just such a film
Oh
scene.
yeah.
Like I figured that wasn't in the book because I'm just like that's one of those things that can only really be done in a movie.
Yeah, it is a very movie thing. There's a similar moment where the two sisters almost meet. They walk by each other, and it's different as well in the book. It's not an earring that they have; it's a necklace. Like the
I
classic
did,
like twins that have
yeah,
necklaces that are cut in
matching.
half. Yeah,
I did find that interesting that she has like the one earring and that connects at the end. They each have one of like the same
yeah,
set. It's like,
yeah. There's a scene where Eurydice goes to buy like I think it was like in her uh making clothes arc, and she goes to buy some fabric, and her sister's there, and her sister kind of notices her, but she doesn't say anything because Eurydice was so focused, and Guido was feeling kind of like guilty for abandoning them. So, yeah, that's when she doesn't mention it. But there are some similar things. The parents keeping them from each other. Um, Kind of happens like in the book. Gida shows up at the house and is like is she asked to be taken back, but the parents don't let her, and they don't tell Eurydice. But it's like Gida kind of like she knows about Eurydice. She doesn't know that she doesn't think that she's gone to like Vienna like in the book in the movie. It's different.
hmm.
Few differences. I don't know. I think it's just like the book is telling like so many different stories to talk about all the different people and their invisible lives, because like even, which is funny, even because the movie is only called Invisible Life, the book is called The Invisible Life of Eurydice Guzmão. It's specifically about her, the name of the book, the title, but the book is about so many more characters than just her. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's not really a thing in the movie. The
Yeah,
movie is like mainly about like two characters rather than like
yeah,
a lot of different characters, a lot of different invisible lives. So
yeah.
yeah.
But I think like in terms of adapting a book, this movie does it so well. Just like keeping the same vibe, keeping the same themes of like people, especially women, in their invisible lives. They're the people just, especially in the 20th century, who had to just live for their husbands and not achieving anything with their lives, even though they wanted to. I mean, it's one of the moments that breaks my heart the most in the movie is when she's playing the piano. She can't like she's messing up. She was like, "Oh, I'm just a little tired, like fucking my mom's sick and everything." And the teacher just said, "You were such a promise." I was like, "Oh
Yeah,
man."
that fucking line, I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, it's like, you've disappointed me. Like, I thought you were going to be the next Mozart. It's like, people that are like, that say shit like that. It's just, but
Yeah.
there's so much of that they like, they get those types of lines, those types of sentences
Yeah.
from men. And it's just a matter of like them having their own ambitions. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought that was done really well. It's like films and books convey ideas, and I'm sure the book like has more time that it can like chew on things and things that like you can do in a book that you just can't do in a movie. But this movie had, like I said with the fish tag, like there are certain things in movies you can't do in books either. So when you're translating to something to screen, like it'll be different, but there's benefits to both of them. So.
Yeah. Interesting question. Which of the two sisters did you prefer, Gida or Eurydice?
Uh I'd probably say Eritz. There was just something a little bit more interesting about what she wanted and what she was trying to do. I don't know. their relationship is kind of what was like. It's not like which of the characters. It's like it's the two of them having simultaneous stories and that desire for them to like meet again. That's kind of what drove it. I yeah. Which did you prefer?
I don't actually no. I love them both. I think Eurydice is probably a deeper character in terms of like what she wants is more interesting because Gid is kind of just like after she's kicked out, she just kind of has to adapt to like living on her own, and that's more important to her than like her dreams. And so her character kind of like she focuses less on like what she wants out of life. It's like, I mean, there's even a scene where she's like, "Oh, you keep going out. You always say you're not, you didn't have fun. So why do you keep doing it?" It's like, "Well, I'm trying." Like, you don't have to, meet men to have fun. You can do that by yourself. It's like, isn't that sad? It's like, no, it's sad. And so it's like she doesn't. Yeah, I think Gida doesn't like know herself enough, which is kind of the thing. And in the book, she does kind of find herself a little, which feels like a little bit of a happier ending, I guess, when she marries Antonio and she's like starting
Yeah.
to get a little bit of like her life back after everything that happened.
Yeah, I will say the movie didn't exactly give her. It seems like she's just kind of dead and gone, and it's
Yeah.
not like she just threw her life away, but it
Well,
is
I
like,
like what they did that she like started a school at where she lived. I thought that was
yeah.
cool.
And like I said, she wanted to be around kids seemingly. Like it's cool that like at the end of the day, like having a baby like kind of like threw a grenade in her life, but she ended up being around kids all the time. I'm like that was really cool to me. I liked that. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is a great movie. It really is. I low key want to read the book now that you've talked about it. It's it's a great story of two sisters and the time period and women's roles in like 1950s and ideas that still like exist nowadays. It's a really well told story and really well shot in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. It's just like because you were watching it and you're just like, oh my god, men and fucking heterosexual relationships. Like,
Wha-
yeah, because the movie
no,
is just like such a piece of feminist like filmmaking of
what's
just like, man, look, women not that long ago, and I mean, it still happens to this day, but obviously last century was
yeah.
even
Well,
worse.
well, I
Like,
always just scoff at that sentiment that like if baby like that's in a bunch of movies like maybe this is an answer like to our it's like fuck you no it's not.
uh,
It's like some people think that like baby like having a baby will like strengthen your relationship or something. I'm like it's not like that. I'm like it's just I don't know, but it's funny how that works at the opening. Like the first act of the movie is almost just like yeah, and then baby, and your
yeah,
life is kind of ruined. It's like
derailed your
oh
entire
god,
life, all your ambitions.
but also like their dad. It's like it's kind of what's expected of women and just the world, and I think we've grown more as a society as
Yeah.
we've gone on, but it is still something that's semi prevalent nowadays. So
That's actually a thing I just remembered in the book that that Gid actually does reconnect with the father. He had like
that
he had kicked her out and everything, but after her mom died, there was a point where he has a stroke, and so
oh,
Gida needs to take care of him. And I mean he recovers pretty well. And by taking care of him, they kind of reconnect a little. He's still like a little, mad at
I
her,
was
but like he
yeah.
loves his grandson and everything, and they have a nice relationship, so they do reconnect.
What's something else? I was really glad that they kind of redeemed the guy later on. Like he you can tell he regrets like
Yeah,
kicking them out of his life and that he wishes that he was like more apart and just accepted them, and it's kind of like that sense of it being a little too late. And I was wondering that exactly with their mother gone. It's like maybe you can reconnect in that like fucking fish tank scene. She sees him. All she needed to do was go over there, but she just she's still mad at him. And
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It's just like a movie where like, why can't everyone just get along? So sad.
Yeah. This is great stuff. This is a thumbs up for me. I would
Yeah.
recommend this movie, and it's a simple movie, and I'm like, it's one of those just solid. I was semi comparing it to I'm Still Here in terms of like just a couple of things that the stories
Yeah.
do, but like there are movies like that where they don't wow you, but you're just like, yeah, that was just great. That was just a great movie. So
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I was kind of wowed in the sense of like I cried at the end, but I'm easy to cry, I guess.
it's such a challenge. I always laugh. Lots of people cry. Like, you should, but I'm like, it takes a special kind of movie to get to
Yeah.
me. So a couple do though. A couple definitely do.
Um, I do have one question for you before we get to your recommendation, though. Which movie do you prefer, this or Bacurau?
This
Okay.
Bacurau. Bacurau was more like a entertaining
Yeah.
movie, but I thought it could have been like trimmed down the runtime. Like I thought this was a better all around package than
Right.
Bacurau, but yeah,
I
that
agree that
movie
this
is
is a
so
better
funny.
movie, and in 2019, because obviously every country that is in America gets to pick
Yeah,
a movie that we submit to the Oscars. Ours was
yeah, you see,
Bacurau. It wasn't
I,
this.
that is so funny to me. I'm like, I think because this was like in competition at Cannes. I'm
It
like,
won some award. I don't remember which, but yeah,
I think this would have been a better shot. I think this probably would have been a better thing to submit.
yeah.
Maybe they thought that like the American characters like would have made it more accessible, and
Maybe,
maybe
I don't
it's a
know,
little
the
more accessible
kind
to
of
the
the
average Joe,
point
but
kind of the point of that movie is that the Americans are
well,
assholes, so
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, exactly. Like trying to colonize and like kill the village. Yeah, but I don't know. By my money, I would say this is a little better than Bacurau, but that's interesting to me that they submitted that instead of this. All right. Shall we get to the recommendation?
Yes, it is the moment.
All right. I had an idea originally that was you probably have a good idea of it, like from what we were talking about last week, but I'm going with a different one that I thought of. It's we're heading right into summer. It's going to be June when the next episode is recorded, and I want to go with one of my favorite summer movies. Have you seen The Sandlot?
No, I don't think I've ever heard of it. Sandlot.
Oh, grew up with that movie. It is a movie about
Sand-
kids in the 50s or it might be early 60s who just play baseball. They don't really necessarily know each other, but there's this sandlot by in their neighborhood, and it's a baseball movie.
Okay.
I It's one of those that I grew up with. I love it today, and it's an interesting one. So yeah,
Apparently, it was
curious,
already on my watch list, but all right,
yeah, curious to see what you think of it.
all right. Interesting movie. I okay. Very topical. Everyone's talking about the Sandlot in 2025. Uh, all right. So I guess that's it, folks. We highly recommend Invisible Life, and we'll catch you next week for The Sandlot.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. All right. See you later.
Later.